especially if we had James.
Yeah. James, you could do the Clippers and Angels and all that stuff live on Out of Bounds if you're up for it.
Hey,
Just
hey,
like what I do,
hey.
you just base. Oh,
Hey, 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 we're in the middle of a conversation. This is
yeah.
out of bounds. This is the
We are out of
NFC
bounds.
AFC Championship. Uh, what is it? Recap, and then also the Super Bowl preview as we're going to get into all things Super Bowl. This is Todd Fox along with the other host of the show,
Carlos.
aka.
Rick Davis. Wait for it. Wait for it.
That's
And then
my favorite part.
we have a special guest who's on the show.
James Gonzalez, you can find me on the Chair with James. I'm all over that and Coast to Coast Network, and I'm just happy to be a part of this tonight, recapping the NFL games. Just can't wait for the Super Bowl.
There you go. But you're also forgetting your nickname. It's Big Game James from
Oh yeah, right.
downtown. Yeah, see, he's got the jersey to prove it. So
He definitely has it in the
yeah,
background.
yeah, he's got that cool LA jersey, man. They should have made those the Clippers originals or kept them like that because those are
Yeah.
pretty cool.
We can't have nothing white anymore, you know.
Again,
Oh wow. We're gonna go down that road, huh?
let's save that for the woke show.
I'm just saying.
All right, I'm already canceled. All right, so let's get into what happened Sunday morning, which usually the NFC games are in the afternoon, but they switched them around this time. The Philadelphia Eagles had dibs on the morning. It was overcast. The weather was not a factor. The Niners came in with Brock Purdy. This was Jalen Hurts. Mr. Irrelevant beat Jalen Hurts in his first quest to get to the Super Bowl. And well, this game did not turn out the way we thought it would. I'm going to get you guys' takes on everything. But basically, the moment Brock Purdy went down, it wasn't Purdy. They tried another quarterback, and Josh Johnson, or whatever his name is, did not do fairly good. He led him to one score, but he later fumbled the ball away. He would get hurt. And then it was just a guy with one arm out there, and his one arm was not his throwing arm, and that was it. I mean, the Niners were down 20 points and running the football. And this game was ugly from the second quarter onward, or first quarter, actually. Eagles 31, Niners 7. Did the better team win? First of all, ask both of you guys that.
Yes.
Go ahead, James. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think the better team did win. They showed it. They demolished the New York Giants. Absolutely put them in their place. And look, even though Purdy got hurt, I think they were still getting to him when he played. So I think it still would have been happening if Purdy didn't get hurt. They would still be all over the field. And remember, the 49er defense was so banged up right away. I mean, it started with Fred Warner going down. Nick Bosa had that freak accident on the special teams play before he came out on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just doomed from the start, it seemed like.
Okay, what do you think, Carlos?
Yeah, I agree. I think that no matter what, the 49ers were going to get beat close or in a blowout. Brock Purdy, I think they would have eventually got to him, which they did. Even if that injury didn't happen, I think that they were just the defense was playing at a top-notch level. The 49ers defense was, even with the terrible offense. But it got to the point where that game was just unwatchable. I'm not sure if you guys actually remember much of that game in the second half. I was waiting for I was dying for that game to be over, and it's a sad thing to say because football season is just about over. We only have one more game to go. Um, but I was thinking, I remember right before we were making the predictions on the wild card, I said that the Niners they went into the playoffs with a 10-game win streak, and this is a team that's well known for injuries. Their quarterbacks and McCaffrey are always injured. Kittle's always banged up and missing games. Debo Samuel had just missed like about a month of action. They're always having injury problems over there in San Francisco, and it just so happens that they had everything just like basically a car. You're driving it and you're getting all the green lights, green lights, green lights, and you think it's a brand new car that you're getting a good deal on, but you come to find out right when you get to your final destination, which is like a mile away, the Super Bowl. all the wheels fall off, so you're just sitting there flat on your ass and you're not moving, and then the speedometer changes on you the mileage. It goes from like 35 miles, which you just got the car, and it really shows you that it's got like 300,000 miles because it's so worn out. And these guys have been playing lights out for like the last 2 3 months, however long it was that they were on a win streak for. But everything fell apart for the Niners. Everything.
Okay, well, with that being said and what happened, do you guys feel that if the Niners had Purdy the entire game, if the freak injuries and things didn't happen, because we're not even talking penalties yet, but let's just say everything, they were just as healthy as the Eagles going into this game, offensively and defensively. Do the Niners beat the Eagles, in your opinion, both of you guys?
I don't think so. I think the point spread would have been closer. Maybe instead of what it was, 31-7, it would have been maybe a 10, 14, 17-point deficit for San Francisco. But they just looked outplayed, outmatched right away. And I don't think there was any chance for San Francisco. The weather, even though they dropped their weather, it was like seasonably warm.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was like 56 degrees and rainy. I'm like, it's the same out here in California, but this is in Philadelphia. But I think that crowd was all in it. There was a lot of red in it, but they were quiet pretty much the whole game. So they didn't have a chance, I felt like.
Okay.
It's hard to say, man. I do think, like I said, the Eagles would have beaten the Niners, because it would have came down to who made the more mistakes in the game, and you know how that story goes. Protect the ball, you win. And I think that at this point in time, even if they were to be all healthy, I think that you trust Jalen Hurts more than you trust Brock Purdy, because that offense that the Eagles have is built around Jalen Hurts, and they got I want to say a better overall team. And it's just the 49ers, their defense, like I said, top notch, but their offense just could not keep up with what the defense was producing. And after a while, it just felt like in the second half, the defense just completely gave up. They were like, you know what? Why are we trying our butts off if the offense isn't able to generate anything? As soon as the Eagles went up 14-7, it was game over.
Yeah, I think for me, the Niners could have had a better chance. Maybe they lose by like 7 or 10 points. I think it's a little bit closer than what James was saying, judging just by what I've seen all year from them. But I think being taken out of their comfort zone, I think you see Garoppolo smiling on the freaking sideline, not really having a care in the world that his team's getting skunked. Trey Lance is over there hobbling around. I mean, it's pretty discouraging when you have, it's usually teams don't bring 3 quarterbacks to a freaking game, and they've had 4, and all 4 of them went down at one point. So that was crazy for me to see. I know we're talking a lot about the Niners here, but if you guys think about it, their last 3 Super Bowl runs, as far as like getting to the championship game or to the Super Bowl itself, you had Colin Kaepernick get hot, and they rode that streak into the Ravens game to where the Ravens put him in their place.
Hey, but hold on. Before I know what you're saying, but I gotta give credit to that game. You made me think about that game. Remember that there was a point in time where the Niners looked like they had control of the game, but then for whatever reason, remember there was that blackout. There was that blackout for that.
Well, the Ravens had control of that game.
Was it the Ravens? And then the Niners got back into it. I remember that one of them had momentum. That's what it was.
Ravens were blowing them out, and then the blackout happened, and it was like for 30 minutes, and then once the time came back on, the Niners looked like a different team.
So it might have been like the NFL trying to hold that game together, huh?
Bro, if ever there was, look, that was another example of where you're like, But yeah, they had that run with him, and then they had the run with Alex Smith getting far in the postseason still, and then they had the run with Jimmy Garoppolo, and, he got to the Super Bowl. They failed there. And then, now you go with Brock Purdy. And one thing you could say is those are pretty mediocre quarterbacks at best. And my point being is they've been able to build a defense in those years to get as far as they have with enough weapons around to where they make the quarterback look a little better. Do the Niners, with all their quarterback issues, with their draft picks, with what they've got now on the field and what they're capable of, Do you try to make something to where you hold the defense together, you maybe lose a receiver or trade a receiver to get a premier quarterback to fit this team and then scrap whatever you got right now? I mean, is that something you guys would do if you're the Niners?
No, you have to roll with Lance because you traded all those picks for him. You really have to see what he has, and if he doesn't have it, you go with Brock Purdy, and then after that, you just find someone. Maybe not next season, but the year after. You see if there's a spot for Lance that you could trade to, and you can get something back for him. What I'm going to be looking forward to is the quarterback competition that will be. It's not young in Montana, back in the early '90s, but it's Purdy and Lance, and that's going to be fun to watch.
Well, the thing is, James, you won't be able to get to see that. Purdy's getting Tommy John, so he's not going to be back next year.
I heard 6 months or something like that. That's what I thought.
Oh no, it's 6 to 9 months at best. But
so they have to go out and get something.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go out and get something. But my thing is, the only reason why I brought that up, bro, is because like the NFL windows are so small, and right now the Niners have a stacked ass team. I mean, maybe you go over the cap to get a quarterback and just penalize yourself the next year because you don't know how long you can keep this core together, right?
Defensively, they can go out and trade somebody to get that quarterback because it seems like they have an abundance of talent on both sides of the ball, but especially defensively.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were banged up, remember? They had a few people out for the season.
Injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they could go that route. If Lance isn't showing anything and Purdy's not available, there's a Jacoby Brissett out there. It's kind of awkward because Kyle Shanahan mentioned, hey, we're not going to bring back Jimmy G, but he knows the system.
Yeah.
You might want to bring him back just in case, but they already showed their cards, show their hand, and they have to go a different route, which is awkward.
Personally, I hope Carson Wentz goes there, but that's just me.
Oh.
But what about you, Carlos?
Yeah, I don't know what to think about the 49ers, man. I got them on the same boat, just about the same boat as the Dallas Cowboys now, man. It's just like, for like forever now. It just seems like the Niners are this team that everybody's just scared of in the playoffs, and they're going to do a Super Bowl run. It's basically they're getting to the point of the Dallas Cowboys, and they're always injury prone. I don't know, man. I'm ready. Like I'm not even giving them that much hope anymore, man. I've seen the story play all year in and year out since Kyle Shanahan has taken over John Lynch. It's the same as like the Dallas Cowboys. Great defense, a scary looking team in the regular season, and then when the postseason starts, they'll get a nice win in the wild card divisional round, and then the NFC Championship game. They're always like choking, bro. It's just like. But to answer the question about the quarterback, do they go after? I've heard rumors about them going after Kirk Cousins. Kyle Shanahan's crazy about Kirk Cousins because he worked with Kirk Cousins in the Washington days, and Kirk Cousins fits that style. Like you think about the type of quarterbacks that Kyle Shanahan's worked with in San Francisco, I think that it would be a great fit. Depending on how the Vikings and the 49ers season play out next year, maybe midway through the season, if the Vikings sneak it up and the Niners are just a quarterback away, hey, they'll probably pull the trigger. They'll trade away Trey Lance and like a future first-round pick for Kirk Cousins. He's not injury prone either. Kirk Cousins, he's always been there.
Yeah, he's
a lot of money though.
Yeah, but for that one, like Todd was saying, for like you go over the cap and deal with it the next year, whenever to get that one Super Bowl. I mean, you do it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to. The Rams sold their soul to the devil, and even no one cares. They got a Super Bowl, So, that's the thing that you got to look at too. If you're Niners, you got to look at the Seahawks are still rebuilding next year. You don't know if Geno's can repeat. They're still super young. You still got a great advantage. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray might not be ready for the season as well. He's had setbacks with that reconstructive knee. You have the Rams that are going to be a garbage dumpster fire. So that division's theirs to lose. And so they already know they got the division. You're going to want to go for that NFC title and championship again. To me, I'd be like, hey, it's time to like sell some stuff off, man. Like we got to win now while we can. Because the NFL is just not like some sports in the past where you could just hold on to guys for like 5-6 years.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I'm almost at that point in time where the Niners are just that the Niners are just like a team that they just need to just blow it up, bro. They're probably gonna, if they don't get it done within this upcoming year, they what else can they do? They come so close like all these years and they can't get it done. I mean, at what point? How long is it before Kyle Shanahan's job is on the line? You got to sit there and wonder like how long is John Lynch going to sit here and let this happen? Like, I think eventually it's going to get to the point where they're going to want to part ways with Kyle Shanahan because as successful as he's been, same thing with Matt LaFleur. Like, you can be successful all you want in regular season, but in the playoffs, you choke. Like,
Well,
how long is that story going to play out?
well, see that works. I mean, you could do this in Tennessee and people be fine with it, like sort of like Vrabel's been doing. But you can't do it in those big markets like Dallas and, like you said, the Niners, and probably like the Giants. If they were to do that, you can't continue to do that. At some point, they're going to fire you, even with a winning record in Green Bay too. So, next thing, I know we talked a lot about the Niners. They were the losing team, but I got the sense maybe the Eagles didn't show their best stuff, even though they won 31-7. They weren't exactly on fire, and they weren't exactly on fire against the Giants either. I thought their defense played outstanding, but offensively they didn't do too much against the Giants. I mean, they scored points, but they got turnovers and they ball controlled. Are you guys concerned with the Eagles going into the Super Bowl? Because a lot of people said that they had the weakest schedule. They played teams when they weren't 100%, and then they had a lot of cupcakes. And me and Carlos are going back with each other all season. Do we buy the Eagles? Do we buy the Eagles? I'll ask you guys this. Do you buy the Eagles as a Super Bowl winner?
James?
50-50 chance, of course.
Oh, you're going on a limb there, huh?
Yeah. No, listen, I think they're going to have to, this sounds so cliche, but they're going to have to play their best when their best is needed. And defensively, they've done that. They've run the ball well against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't run it so well against the 49ers. But it was one of those games where you didn't really need to show your best or do your best. That sounds weird. Jalen Hurts only threw for 170 yards. You know, everybody on the offensive side had pedestrian numbers. You know, not Gainwell, yes, did run okay, but the receiving yards, you know, Devontae Smith had that catch. And the mistake was on the 49er coaches for not calling a timeout and not getting, you know, a review in that case. That would have been a good start for the Niners
that
to
was
slow
huge.
things down.
That was huge.
Yeah. But I think they could put it all together. They've had 2 weeks off. When you think about it, they had a whole half off. Even though they played their starters in that 49er game.
Mm-hmm.
They just need to find what they had in the regular season. Again, it would be a neutral site indoors, or maybe they have a little hole in the roof there. But and then the Eagles' offense against the Kansas City defense, they really just have to stop Chris Jones up front. I think it's been shown, even though Burrow did throw a couple of picks, but it's been shown that the Chiefs defense can get exposed. So I think they'll be fine. Jalen Hurts, though, he might have to show more than just the 72.5 quarterback rating in the game. He'll have to do better than that. Play your best when the best is needed. So I think they have a shot to do it. It'll depend on how good the Kansas City defense plays.
With that, yeah, I agree with you, James. You're making me think of the Eagles' defense being superior because I didn't hear you saying anything about the Eagles' defense, and I agree. I mean, you said it, you didn't say it, but I'm adding to it. The Chiefs' defense has gotten exposed. They've been the downfall. In that game against the Bengals, there were a lot of questionable calls that helped out the Chiefs. And did you guys see that the NFL's main concern this going into this offseason? I don't know if you guys seen it or not, but it's a big old throw. It's going to turn a lot of people off. They want to get rid of the what is that called? The side takedown tackle. It's like the one that the injury, the reason why Patrick Mahomes got injured in the game before
Mhm.
the bank. Did you guys hear about that?
Well, I hope that one doesn't pass because they're just wussifying the game more and more, dude.
See, it turned you off, and you know like what I'm talking about, like the one where they're like they wrap you up and they pull you on the side and all that. But like the NFL, if that happens, basically like on the comments when I was reading through the comments, everybody was like, man, and everybody was trashing the NFL for that. Like, it's going to get to the point where, like you said, wussified, and people were like, is the Pro Bowl going to be the future of the NFL, where it becomes a flag football game?
Mhm.
And if that's the case, where they start cleaning up all these tackles, you can't hit a quarterback as it is. So now you can't tackle him on his side. So now, like, what are you going to do under the scrambling quarterback coming your way? What do you do? How do you tackle a quarterback if they get rid of that side tackle? Like, what do? You can't spear him.
I think it's going to
Right.
come down to flag football for the quarterback.
What
He's
do you
wearing,
what do you
Yeah.
do? Because if you push him, if you shove him, that's going to be roughing the passer. What
yeah.
do? You spear him, you get roughing the passer. You take him to the side, that's going to be a 15-yard penalty. How do you tackle a quarterback? You
Oh no,
can't. They got rid of everything. Like you gotta basically from the neck all the way to the basically to the lower, like right there, the lower stomach area. That's your only way that you can tackle them and all that.
6 times this year watching the Seahawks, they were in third and forevers, and those times Geno Smith ran the ball on useless runs that he's just trying to get away from a sack, and he either slid and someone hit him on accident, or they pushed him
Mhm.
too far out of bounds and they turned like a 3rd and 17 into a first down. It's backbreaking for the defense as it is, man. And the one I hate the most is you can't touch the helmet of the quarterback. I can understand if you jerk him in the helmet, like you pull him down by the face mask. But there's been times where a guy's just trying to swipe at a ball, or he's trying to get over the defender to try to grab the quarterback, and his hand just goes across the helmet, and they're all like, that's a personal foul. Dude, come on, man. That's a backbreaker when your defense spends all that time trying to get a stop on a tough NFL team, and you're just giving them a free first down.
Guys, it reminds me. I was watching some game in like the early '80s or late '80s, whatever it was. They had the rule of in the grass. I think it was late '80s,
Mm-hmm.
where it was sort of like if you hug the quarterback or something, but you don't throw him down, they'll give you a sack right away.
Mm-hmm.
And it varied too, because if they barely grabbed the quarterback, they would call the play dead.
Yeah.
So I know they don't do that now, but it could come to the point where even on the run, it becomes two-hand touch.
Let me just say something very controversial. The more women that we're putting in football, whether behind the scenes, whether allowing them to make big decisions and get on the rules committee, and also, I'm telling you, it's the women are going to be like, you guys are too rough. We need to change. And you're going to see a South Park episode take place in the NFL where they're playing in tinfoil hats and hugging each other instead of tackling, and throwing a balloon in the air instead of a football. It's going to get to sarcastic ball. I'm telling you. That's just my take.
Hey, look, we ended up right here because I brought up what was the original question? Because you said something about the Eagles. I remember. But that's how
He said the
football
Eagles
works.
offense.
Yeah, the Eagles offense. Oh yeah, I went based on what you were saying, James. Yeah,
I
yeah,
started the mess.
yeah, and then I added on the penalty, and then we just went on this whole rant about how soft the NFL and watered down it's going to be, because you can't tackle a quarterback or whatever. But the Eagles, I think that the Eagles, man, it took me a very long time to bite into the Eagles, or drink the Eagles Kool-Aid, I should say. But the Eagles, you beat who's in front of you. Yeah, they beat the Giants, which isn't impressive. And then you beat an injury-riddled team like the 49ers, but the Eagles are the reason why that team got injured. The 49ers fell apart when the pressure got turned on. And yeah, I mean the Eagles look like the better team right now. I'm gonna go with the. Can I make the prediction, or are we gonna wait on that?
Well, we're gonna go with the Bengals game first, but before we
Okay.
get into the Bengals game, I want to touch on some of the biased calls in that Niner game before we go. I'm not a Niner lover, but when it came to, I felt bad for them because, even with that Trent Williams tackle where he, out of frustration, they were beating the crap out of Deebo Samuel before that. The Niner player throws a punch at the ball. Yes, it looked weird because he was cocking his fist back, but he hit the ball. Personal foul right there for hitting the pigskin. You had these penalties that were very questionable. I just felt the Niners had, no chance. So even if they had their quarterback, I think penalty-wise, dude, they were still getting screwed in the butt.
Yeah, and really quick, I want to give a shout out to Philly Nate, who's in the chat. He's an Eagles fan. He lives in the city of Philadelphia. He's been riding with the Eagles for ever since I can remember. Don't get that dude started with the Philadelphia Eagles. That dude will he defines the Philadelphia Eagles fan base. He'll fight you for the Eagles.
Congratulations.
He climbed some greasy poles last Sunday.
He must be very proud of EP at this moment.
EDP?
EDP,
he says he doesn't like EDP.
Oh, I remember that guy.
He says he doesn't like EDP.
He's going to be dead soon, probably.
The stage 5 kidneys.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen a fan base or people that actually are happy that a dude's dying. Usually he gets some remorse. They're all like, hurry up and die already.
Yeah, no.
Oh, he's going out as a winner, so that's good.
They've been lighting him up. Skull, I'm at 98.
Oh, man. Well, let's jump into what happened. Speaking of referees, there is the black referee. I forgot his name, but he has the glasses. He was a lead referee for the game in Kansas City. His son made a huge wager before the game on the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're trying to tie that back to him for favoritism. So
you don't say.
That is correct. I just saw the story today, and he could be in some hot water because, remember, he's the guy that led the first black referee, I guess, officiating crew. But if you watch his games, dude, he's always in the limelight. And boy, was he in the limelight on Sunday when the Chiefs won that game 23-20. Now, you could say what you want to say about the late hit at the end. Yes, that was a late hit. But the Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, earlier or late in the third or early fourth, they were working out of their end zone, and on third down, Burrow was pushed by Clark, a former Seahawk, way after the ball was thrown. No flag, and it was right in front of the ref. There was plenty of times where the Chiefs had, extra plays that got helped out. You cannot give Mahomes extra plays. They stopped the Chiefs, and then the ref said, no, we called timeout, when he clearly called timeout after the play had started. And then also, after giving them a free down to work out of it, they were stopped again but called a ticky-tack calling Eli Apple. So this game was going every which way. The Bengals, whenever they, listen, you still got to win the game, but it just felt like the Bengals were playing the 12th man out there, and that was in stripes. The Bengals lost this game, in my opinion, because it couldn't run the ball, and two guys made a big difference in the pass rush. Frank Clark, former Seahawk, and Jared Reed, former Seahawk. Those guys balled out, stopping the run and putting tremendous pressure on Joe Burrow, and he still had a great game. The Bengals almost still won that game. It was a good game, but you felt dirty as a football fan. Look, the Eagles did what they had to do, but the Chiefs, what do you guys think, man? I mean, was this a justified win by the Chiefs, in your opinion? Was this a game that you guys wanted to see, or the outcome that you wanted to see?
Well, after the nap I took, did you want me to go?
No, go ahead. I was going to say, Nate, drop your comment. How do you feel about the Eagles, or not the Eagles, but about the Eagles game and then the Chiefs games? Let us know how you feel, Nate, but go ahead, James.
All right. So after the nap I took in the second half of the first game, I was really anticipating, Cincinnati and Kansas City. And Joe Burrow, he didn't really play his best, but that's credit to the Kansas City defense. They got to him 5 times. Forced 2 interceptions, did allow 1 touchdown. But Joe Burrow was the leading rusher of the Bengals, and that's not a good thing. He did scamper for some important first downs, but just because the middle of the field was open. But Joe Mixon only had 19 yards rushing. He's in trouble right now. Samaje P-Line only had 22 yards rushing. He's a free agent, so they're going to have to figure something out with Cincinnati running backs. The leading receiver was T. Higgins. He had a touchdown, but only 83 yards. So it was credit mostly to the Kansas City defense. Pat Mahomes, it didn't look like he had an ankle injury whatsoever. Sure, the mobility wasn't there as much, but he did what he could, and it was hard to corral him. They didn't get to him at all. No sack, or I believe, yeah, he was sacked 3 times, but he threw 2 touchdowns. Pacheco didn't run as much. Valdez Scantling deserved the game ball going to the Super Bowl now. He tried all the time with the Packers to get there, and seems like number 12 just let him down each time. He was an awesome player. He had 6 receptions, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Kelsey had a touchdown, and he had so many clutch catches. And what I mean by that, he would get in the middle. He would do it seemed like a post route or a little curl route, and then you come right back to the middle of the field. And if you put a linebacker on him, you have no chance. You can bring a safety over, but he's slow. And then when you have receivers, taking on the corners, that leaves just linebackers on Kelsey, and he got open for important catches. Sure, the officiating wasn't great, I would say. That 3rd and 9 play that happened, and then the punting came on, and all of a sudden, wait, why are we replaying that 3rd and 9? And then it comes out, Eli Apple gets a holding penalty downfield, and that just opened the Chiefs to come in and win the game. That was really tough to see because I don't like Kansas City whatsoever.
Yeah.
I really want the Bengals to repeat what they did last January. It's frustrating, but you can definitely blame the linebacker who pushed out Mahomes to make it a closer field goal attempt for Butker. You can blame the ref for running in at the last second, killing that play for who knows what reason. It just makes you think they really wanted the brand name of Mahomes in the Super Bowl to make it and not Burrow again, just based on maybe the ratings last year of the Super Bowl. I don't know what to think about fixed or what sucks though. I was watching the Netflix documentary on Tim Donaghy, the NBA referee.
Yeah.
And I think one of the main focuses they had was, hey, make sure the stars get the calls. So I keep playing that back in my mind where, Kansas City was given another shot and given calls that the Bengals, for some reason, do not deserve. So that was my take on the game, honestly.
Take on the game. I mean, I'm with you on all that, James. But I think that with gambling being so open to the public now, being legal in all the states and all, it's kind of hard not to put two and two together. Where I feel like with everything that you just said about that referee from the NBA, I mean, years, maybe a few decades down the road, we might get one of these referees to open up and say how games were paid or they were rigged or whatever. And that's just time will tell. But there's been a lot of questionable calls, a lot of questionable games, but it got to the point where the very next day or on Monday, Tuesday, when I turned on the sports radio when I was at work, they were like the ESPN and Fox Sports and everybody was talking about how NFL hashtag NFL rigged was trending all throughout social media. And they were getting pissed off about it because they didn't want the NFL brand to take a hit because that's the moneymaker for all sports media. And if you look at it, the 49ers and Eagles game generated 47 million viewers, right, for that whole entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around to the very next game, the Chiefs and the Bengals, 53 million. That's 100 million views for both those games combined. So I mean the Shield because gambling is at an all-time high. I think they were pointing out that gambling is going to be the reason why these games turn out this way and why the ratings are going to keep going even higher. So I mean, as far as the game was concerned, I do feel like the refs wanted the Chiefs to win, and the NFL did make the Chiefs win that one because of all the questions. There can't be enough smoke without a fire, As my brother said in his famous podcast. But yeah, the Eagles I think they got the better matchup. Like if they would have went against the Bengals, that would have been a little bit tougher. But I think that the Eagles got the better matchup that favors the Eagles in this one right here. Even though they got Patrick Mahomes, or as Todd likes to call him, Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, or El Crooked. That guy walks crooked. I don't know. When the matchup to me, yeah, I have to agree. Defensively, the Cincinnati Bengals are sneaky good. And I think they got exposed by the refs, not too much by Mahomes. I think Mahomes did one good thing, what James was talking about with Valdez Scantling and running those routes. You forced him against his to go the opposite way of his comfort zone, which is to his left. And each time they did that, he would just do that little Kermit the Frog flip, and he'd flip it back across the field to the other side where Scantling was. Scantling was just left wide open every time Mahomes ran to his left. And that netted them at least 3 or 4 first downs that were crucial to keep drives alive. And I don't know if he's going to get away with that with the Philadelphia Eagles, the way they like to do exotic blitzes, the way that they like to quarterback contain. So there's that. And then you also got the way that the Chiefs are spread thin. Like they're a good defense, but if you can get them one-on-one situations, I think Hurts can really hurt them. No pun intended. Either with a quarterback draw up the middle, like if they decide to blitz and play man-to-man, or if they play man-to-man and they fall back on the blitz, I think he could take his time, lull them into sleep. The Eagles run a lot of screens, but Andy Reid, like I want to lean towards the Eagles, but man, we'll get into our predictions in a minute. But the Chiefs, dude, I mean, they do a lot of good things too. And I think when they got away with this game, um, you know, and what James was talking about, and Carlos was talking about the point shavings and what happened in the NBA, you could blatantly see it if you watched late 90s when Donaghy was doing all that crap in early 2000s. You could tell the superstars in the NBA were getting all the calls, and they wouldn't give it to just up-and-coming kids. You had to really earn it. In the NFL, I don't want it to get like that. We've all seen how the downfall of the NBA is lately, and they've got myriads of problems over there. The NFL was untouchable for so long, but like what Carlos brought up earlier, with now, you can't hit the quarterbacks. People don't like the fact it's wussifying the game. You used to be able to crack people from across the field. You can't headhunt no more. There's so many things. Like they just look to throw penalties and screw with the game, and you can't have a nice flow. It's actually refreshing when you have a game that doesn't have any penalties. So I don't know if the NFL is going to continue down this road, but if it does, it's going to lose a lot of hardcore fans. You might have those casuals that like to clap outside their sliding glass door while they barbecue, but but you're not going to have your hardcore fans or your hooligans, but
The ultras.
the ultras. Yeah.
Hey, really quick, Nate. I asked him for his thoughts on the game. He just went right into the Super Bowl. He said, "I feel like we will be able to run the ball well with Sanders because he's an Eagles fan, and the O line, and I think our receivers will do enough. Now, I think the defense is going to play good. I'll say one pick, and I'll go 31-29 Eagles, and I think we get 3 sacks on Mahomes." Now, I will say I think we can struggle with Mahomes. It's hard to stop him when he's on his game. Yes, indeed. The game might come down to whoever has the ball last, and the Eagles might just be the ones with it.
Okay, well, let's ask him this real quick. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, does it trump getting their first Super Bowl? Is it better than the Nick Foles Super Bowl over the Patriots? Like, no matter the score, if they beat the Chiefs, is it more of an accomplishment this year, or was it more of an accomplishment the first time around?
That's a terrific.
Ooh,
That's a great question.
I think the first time, because of all the years that they they fought to get to the playoffs, to get to the Super Bowl, or they lost in the championship round, that would be hard. But beating Andy Reid, your former coach, I think that would be something.
True.
And then I think I was maybe the only one that stood on my little stool and advocated for Jalen Hurts. And I saw him at Oklahoma, and I thought, man, he has something that's really good. He has some of the intangibles, and I think Philly's going to thrive with him, and having the defense there as well that they were building up in 2020. You're seeing it all here. So I could see both, but to beat Andy Reid, I think that would be awesome as well, and beat maybe the best quarterback that isn't Tom Brady with Mahomes. I think that would be maybe it is a bigger accomplishment because after a while, you figure the Eagles would get lucky enough to win. It just happened to be against Brady and the Patriots who beat them all the way back in '05. I mean, to get that revenge must have felt good.
What do you think, Carlos?
As far as like which one's better, bigger accomplishment,
If you had to choose one.
I would say that this one probably means. Oh, they both mean something because of what James said. The first one because like that one that was like a magical ride. All they lose their quarterback Carson Wentz who looked promising, and then they go with Nick Foles who won the Super Bowl MVP. I want to say. And then Doug Peterson, and then the Philly. That one's got to be special, no matter what. But this one right here, you got Jalen Hurts, a quarterback that they drafted that is doing what Carson Wentz was supposed to when they won the Super Bowl. And then, like, basically, they built this team from the ground up. And I would say that this one probably means a lot more, this one right here, because it would be sheer dominance. And they already proved that they could beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, who was the GOAT. And now this upcoming quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, who's now the GOAT. Like which one do you would you take more pride in saying that you beat in the Super Bowl? Tom Brady, who's got like how many Super Bowl seven, or
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes, who everybody's saying he's a once in a lifetime type of quarterback, which are both once in a lifetime quarterbacks. But which quarterback is like do you brag more about?
I don't know because I was gonna ask before I answer. I was gonna ask you guys which team do you put the Rocky theme on? Because you know how they love Rocky. Do you put it on the underdog Nick Foles getting to the Super Bowl and getting the victory, against the mighty Patriots, or do you put on Jalen Hurts, a young kid, up against a tested veteran in Mahomes and a tested veteran and coach, Hall of Fame coach, and all that goes along with the Chiefs franchise?
Well,
I mean, let me answer Carlos's first
yeah, yeah.
before you take a shot at James. But um, I would have to lean towards the GOAT only because Brady's already got them 7 titles up there. That's my answer.
And with Nick Foles too.
Yeah. I mean, because
Yeah.
I never expected it. I thought the Patriots were going to roll, to be honest.
And it's funny because with the Rocky series, he loses and then he wins. So I think about all the times that the Eagles lost, and then they lost to New England, like I mentioned earlier. And then to get their revenge over Tom Brady, I think that felt like a Rocky kind of victory. And I think the road fans will finally learn their lesson and not put their jersey on the Rock statue in Philadelphia. Because every time that happens, they lose, and they lose really bad.
Those McNabb years, dude. I think
Yeah.
the Philly fans would have appreciated that team was more blue collar, than
Hmm.
anything. So I think if the Eagles had a Super Bowl under McNabb, I think you would have had people say, I appreciate that team a little bit more, but they just didn't get the luck in the one Super Bowl they had, and then, like you said, they had a lot of playoff disappointments.
Hmm. I think McNabb would have been respected more than he was, and not really thrown to the side. It seemed like he never kept in shape, and I know I'm saying that but yeah, it just seemed like after that, after all the losing, the TO situation, McNabb was just not ever the same, and he's not respected as he should be if he had a ring.
I think T.O. beat him up in that game and that season, and you could tell when he threw up in that huddle, he was the pressure got to him. But what do you think, Carlos? Like, that's my take. And what was your take, James? Do you think it's bigger? Like this one, Brady over Mahomes, or Mahomes over Brady?
But I think
Um,
Brady. Oh, sorry.
I'll keep it quick because it sounds like James has a good answer. I think that if you beat Brady, that one means the world because everybody puts him above Joe Montana, like you were saying, Todd. That way he's already proven himself and established himself. And if you beat Mahomes, you put him at a 1-2 record in the Super Bowl. So I mean, that win against Tom Brady, that one means a lot more because Tom Brady has what his resume is outstanding, outstanding. Like he's going to be a first ballot Hall. He's already in the Hall of Fame. He was in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Mahomes, he still has to work his way up the ladder. And he could be better than Tom Brady, but that has yet to be proven. But yeah, the win against Tom Brady with the underdog card. Remember, you guys, the Eagles went riding into the playoffs at the number one seed, and they were going by the theme of underdog, underdog. They weren't respected, and they rode that all the way into the Super Bowl because they were underdogs in every single game, including the Super Bowl. So that one I think is a lot more special because this one they're actually favored in this one. I would go honestly now that I think about it, the win against the Patriots would mean a lot more than the win against the Chiefs because this one they're favored against the Chiefs, and that one they were underdogs.
True, true. What do you think, James?
You never forget your first time winning.
Oh, in a lot of ways, James.
Yeah, I was hoping you would catch that. So you never forget it, and you know how special it was. You know how many fans traveled. You know how they ran the table pretty much, and just the way that game ended against New England. They had the Hail Mary at the end. You're like, oh no, Brady's gonna drive him down the field again,
Mm-hmm.
and just that joy, that explosion of joy. Speaking the first time that happened.
It feels like I'm about to pee type of feeling.
What's that white stuff?
It's good to be. It's good to be champions. And well, I was just watching the game. I was happy Brady lost. I know that. So I was just happy for that fan base because they were nothing for a long time. Then they had Randall Cunningham and Donovan McNabb and all these other QBs that never really fit. And Nick Foles, again, he wasn't the main guy. Remember, it was Carson Wentz, and he got hurt in L.A.
Yeah.
So this time, though, you feel like the Eagles they're built. Like, they're all muscled up. They're coming in. They're not underdogs. Like you mentioned, Carlos. They rolled through the playoffs, so it feels like they just have it all working for them. They could talk that talk. They could walk that walk. So, I think the first time was better, of course.
The only thing that concerns me about the game is the fact that the coaching staff is far more experienced on the Chiefs side. You're going in with an Eagles coaching staff that's relatively young, doesn't have the kind of postseason experience. They're not built for this, or at least they think they are, but they hopefully they can be for Eagles fans. But you got Andy Reid and his all-star crew over there. That's the only slight advantage I would give to the Chiefs, because I think defensively and like you guys are saying, talent-wise, yes, the Chiefs have an outstanding roster, but I believe the Eagles, like you said, they've got the best roster right now in football. And before we jump into that game, we've got to preview the flag football game tomorrow. Tickets are going for as low as $19. The NFC's won 5 straight. No, we're not going to do it.
I didn't know that they were on a 5-game.
Okay.
I didn't know.
And did you see my team's quarterback perform well, and he's like, "Oh, well, that I did." This is my first time doing well, and I think that's why they don't want me here. So you can see how my organization is ran. It's not looking good, even in the Pro Bowl. Josh Jacobs said none of this makes sense when it came to the scheduling or something like that of the Pro Bowl and all the activities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been a what show all this time.
Yeah. It's not anything to brag about. It's not going to be anywhere fun, so whatever. It's not the old Pro Bowl that we're used to, anyway.
Yeah,
Sean Taylor hitting Scott Norman.
Yeah, the punter. That one will go down as the biggest hit and the greatest hit in Pro Bowl history. But at this point, I'd rather just go to the random park and just select what is it? what is it, 11-on-11 street football, and just watch that for like about 3 hours and see who scored the first to 100 scores, and they would actually do like some tackling on the park. I'd much rather do that, and I'm pretty sure if I had enough people to play and I went live on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, people would actually tune in more to that than the actual Pro Bowl because you would actually see contact.
Well,
Yeah.
remember me and Todd did that on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we actually played tackle football, or not tackle football. We played football.
Flag football.
There you go. But it was competitive. It was competitive.
Oh yeah.
What about the Super Bowl? Now we're going to jump into something here. Before we preview it, we've already touched on both teams, and we'll get into score predictions and whatnot. It's in Arizona. There's been a couple controversial Super Bowls in Arizona, and also
My favorite Super Bowl in Arizona was Seattle.
Well, shut the F up. That's what it was. It was shut the F up.
My favorite New England Patriot of all time.
Shut the F up.
I couldn't help myself, man. I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, of course.
I always had a hard time figuring out which Ryan I like more, Matt Ryan or Brian Ryan.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. What is the thoughts on Rihanna doing the Super Bowl? I mean, because Rihanna.
Well, usually like I take a walk or I do something else when the halftime show's going on.
Throw the football
I recall last year that's what I would want to do with people, and I got to see where I'm going to be because I think I worked that morning, so I'll probably be kind of tired, but I'm going to hang in there. Last year, I didn't even watch last year's Super Bowl show, and you think me, I would watch it. But I took a nap. And I think I'll do the same here. Rihanna popped out a kid, and she probably doesn't look the same as she used to. Well, we all don't. But and I know her songs pretty much by heart, but I never want to hear anything live. It's just not me personally. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I really liked Lady Gaga's performance back in 2018. I didn't like the second half of that game where Brady came back on the Falcons, but I probably won't be tuning in. I'll probably be munching on something.
Rihanna, man, I don't know how I feel about that. James, I see what you're talking about with not liking anything live. A lot of musicians sound like crap when they perform live, but like when that's because they don't have like the sound what do you want to call it, protection or whatever, where everything like the sound waves are off. But I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do because those halftime shows are long. I'll probably, if anything, if I can't come up with anything else to do, I'll probably come down here where I'm at in the basement and play a game of Madden or something like that. And then I'll have like the score on my phone screen to see when the third quarter is about to start, so that way I can go back upstairs and watch the second half. So I'll probably play a game of Madden instead of watching the halftime show.
I was gonna say something, but but I'm not gonna say that. Instead, I'll say I hope we get a Janet Jackson accident. I think that would be awesome.
Well, my thing for this one is like halftime shows. I can't stand them because unless you're gonna have like maybe them play 3 good songs, because that's pretty much what you could do in a situation. Is once they get the stage set up and everything, you could play like 3 full songs. I'd rather see that than like what happened at the Super Bowl. Because yes, last year was kind of cool with who they brought out and everything and the stage that they had, but you basically had them playing about maybe 1 bar or less of each song, and it was just a bad mixtape. It's sort of like when you're in the car with a kid and they can't decide what song they're playing, and they're touching your radio or your hitting skip, after they hear about 30 seconds of a song. It's pretty goddamn annoying. So, I mean, if you're going to have a concert, let's do one that's like 20, 25 minutes long, have them play 3 or 4 of their top hits, and then get the fuck out of there. But I don't know. I've never liked the halftime show. I usually use that time to throw the football around. I only brought it up because I think for football, you need something hardcore. I don't want to hear a love song like Justin Bieber, Rihanna, no pop stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of whack to me. As far as the game's going, there's going to be a lot of hoopla with this. There always is. They start the pregame show like at 9 in the morning sometimes.
Oh.
and all the way up into the game. They're going to be breaking down everything. There's going to be prop bets, like always. And, the game itself will, to me, let me just ask you guys this. Is it going to live up to the hype? We ask this every year of the Super Bowl, but is this the game that gives you that dramatic feel that we're going to be talking about for years to come? Or in your view, whoever you guys pick, is it just going to be another Super Bowl?
The one thing I can trust is that both seeds are number one coming in. So we're getting the best of the best, right?
Okay.
And then you're getting the best quarterback in the league facing the best overall team. So I hope that is the case. There's always some type of letdown, always. I don't think it'll be what we want it to be. And really, I just want a close game. I know we'll do predictions later, probably. But I don't think it'll be everything hyped up to be. It'll be like everybody's saying, 42 to everybody's going to score over 35 or whatever the case is. Well, no, because we got to realize, hey, that Philly defense is really good. So if you're looking for, a 40-40 game, I don't think that'll be the case. But everybody wants a high-scoring game. So for those people who want that, they'll be disappointed.
All right, Carlos?
I think that when's the last time you were able to remember the Super Bowl? Like, if you could think about it, like to answer your question, I'll ask you the same question because I'm having a hard time figuring out when was the last time there was a really good Super Bowl. The last one that really stands out is that Patriots versus the Atlanta Falcons because of that Julio Jones catch and that 28-3 comeback from Tom Brady. I don't know, man. I'm expecting it to be like a kind of type of Super Bowl, But like I'm with James on what he's saying about hopefully it's a close one and not a blowout. Because if it's a blowout, you automatically go to the Seahawks and the Broncos Super Bowl where that game was over. As soon as the Broncos took their first snap, remember that fumble or that snap that went over Peyton Manning's head and they got a safety right away. It was over from that point. So I think I speak for every single football fan that with this one right here. I just hope it's a close game that comes down to the very last play.
Yeah, there really hasn't been, in the 90s and early 2000s, there wasn't really too many close games. The ones I remember was, like Denver, Green Bay was a good one. New England, St. Louis was a good one because it came down to the field goal. New England, Carolina was a good one.
St. Louis, Tennessee.
Yeah, New Orleans, or New England, Philadelphia was a good one. Like you said, the Tennessee one was good. Pittsburgh, Arizona was good. Giants, New England was good. Baltimore, Frisco turned into something good. I hate to say it, but New England, Seattle was a good one, even though I try to forget that one.
What about the Steelers and the Seahawks?
We'll move on. Philadelphia when they beat New England. I think the worst modern day Super Bowl for me was the Rams and Patriots. That game was boring as fuck.
I went up to my dad's house. I was like, man, I hope this is worth my time. And it really wasn't.
Yeah. I think the Kansas City San Francisco one gets overlooked because people forget it was 20-10 late in the fourth.
Yeah.
that was pretty monumental collapse right there. And then last year's was rigged as fuck. But I would say, yeah, all you would hope as a fan, if you don't have a team that you're either betting on, you just want to see a good game. So I'm with you guys, but I'll predict this. I'm predicting a good game on Sunday, and I'm going to predict the Philadelphia Eagles to lose to Andy Reid and the Chiefs 27-24.
I'm going to go... God, I don't want to jinx them. Because I hate Kansas City so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Kansas City by 3, but I hope it's Philadelphia by 3. I'm going to go 41-38 Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's some high scoring right there, James. I'm gonna go with the Philadelphia Eagles winning 23-21.
Okay. So I'll
With the
predict it.
last second field goal, it'll be Jalen Hurts' moments to shine, and I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing if the Eagles win because then it'll set up for the future because both Mahomes and Jalen Hurts are both young, and they can quite possibly meet up in the Super Bowl next year. So it'll be the rematch of the two young quarterbacks. Man, what if Mahomes wins next year? It will really set it up to being one of the best rivalries of all time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I meant 31-28.
Oh,
31-28. Okay, that sounds a lot.
Yeah, I went against my saying of like, oh, it won't be high scoring, and then I said it was high scoring. It's going to be high scoring. No, 31-28. What am I thinking?
And my only thing that I hope gets put down a little bit is I hope that they can get off this, and I'm going to throw a woke take out there, so excuse me, fellas, in advance. But I'm just going to say, man, this isn't a Jackie Robinson moment. Just saying, Jackie Robinson was a trailblazer and the only one in the MLB at the time, especially for the Dodgers in Brooklyn. Having two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl is not exactly trailblazing when 75% or more of the league is black in general. It just so happened to happen like that. That'd be like if we're going to have next year's Super Bowl and we have two black punters. Are we going to do the same thing? Can we just play the mother effing game? That's all I'm saying. I just want no politics in this Super Bowl. I don't want any race baiting. Let's just play the game. Can we just play the freaking game?
That's why I won't watch any of the pregame coverage because I know that will be the main story. I just think of them as quarterbacks and as really great ones. And that's my logic on it. I know there's been 7 black quarterbacks before that have played in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know Doug Williams' performance. We all know, Pat Mahomes, Steve McNair. It just brought back good memories when I heard that. But the problem is the media coverage, that's all they want you to know, especially one channel out there, the 4-letter network.
No, they're getting ridiculous with it, man. Did you hear about that? Man, they are getting ridiculous with that. They're saying that Jalen Hurts' agent is the first black woman that's going to get Jalen Hurts' contract. I'm sitting here like, well, I don't know what else to say. I'm just like, man, you're just shoving it so far down your throat. And like you said, James, I'm not racist or nothing like that, but man, it's just like, it's getting to the point where, bro, can we just look at these people like they're just people like me and you, like, you know how much pressure that's applying to them? So if they ever fail, they won't say anything like, oh, they were set up to be successful and all that, but they were unsuccessful. Like what? Like you got to treat it both ways. You can't just be one way with it. I don't know. It's just that's just like a trap right there. Like that's just like me and you now. Like all of us, we're just gonna fall into that trap, and then there's gonna be this set of group of people, like politically, that look at us like, oh, so you guys are raised like, nah, nah. Keep politics far away from the sport, but. No matter how hard you try to keep politics away from the sport, it just seems like the harder you try, the weaker attempt that you're giving out. If that makes any sense.
No,
let me say this. Now, it seems like, though, this is a wave of the future because there are more black quarterbacks being drafted. Mm-hmm. So eventually this was going to happen, and then it's going to happen more in the future. You look at Bryce Young coming in, the Florida quarterback coming in the draft this year, C.J. Stroud. These quarterbacks, yeah, they're all African American, but they're all going to, teams that are going to take a while to get to the Super Bowl. So it's a preview of the future, and they're really good. But it's just a preview of the future. That's all I'm looking at it. And I'm not watching anything until kickoff. So I'm staying away from all the storylines that should not matter. I want the game.
Yeah, watch what happens in a couple of years. Maybe we have all white running backs and all black quarterbacks. Who cares? It is what it is, dude. Like if you could play the sport, the position, the best player for the position, the best coach for the position. I don't want to hear about no Rooney Rule. I don't want to hear about, we have to have a percentage of black quarterbacks or a percentage of black this or black that. Dude, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Unless there's egregious, thing that you can get penalized or sued for, leave it the hell alone and let's just play the game. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, I grew up in a time not too long ago where if I wanted to watch, race baiting and government and politics, I'll turn it to C-SPAN, to CNN, to Fox News, to whatever news channel's on your local affiliate. I watched sports to get away from that shit. If you're going through a breakup, I want to see my team, man. They're playing this Sunday. They're playing good. They're going to get my hopes up. They're going to get my attention. You know, like they're going to get me not thinking about the breakup.
They're gonna get your jollies up.
Exactly.
You're not watching Lifetime Network.
Exactly. I'll beat off to a Seahawks win. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, come on, baby, touchdown, baby, let's go.
there's the end zone.
He
Oh,
scores. He let him get it in his end zone. Let's go.
yeah. I mean, but you're gonna take the fun away from me because it's like I'm over here cheering Gino into the end zone, and I see Black Lives Matter on the back of his helmet or end racism in the end zone. All of a sudden, my chubby
End all racism.
my chubby goes into a flaccid symptoms. You know, like I just look at it this way: sports can't. I mean, if you can't have leaders in this world supposedly fix the world's problem, why are we depending on sports? Like, why are we going to LeBron James if something happens around the world? The fuck does that guy know? You know, like that's just they're athletes. They're paid to play. Does someone come to me, being a truck driver, asking me how to make a gourmet 5-star restaurant meal? No, because that's not my expertise. But if you want to know how to deliver something, hey, I'm your guy. So, I mean, I laugh at this shit because we shouldn't even be talking about this. We should be talking
I never
about
pay attention to that. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be talking about the excellence on the field of the Eagles, the excellence on the field of the Chiefs, the seasons that they've had, the seasons that we had. You know, we already in the NFL have enough controversy talking about the penalties and the fights and whatnot that's happened. Why do we need to talk about this shit?
I will say this though. I think the one time, or not the one time, but I think the time to bring this up is after the player has retired. Like Doug Williams, you can make an argument like first, but like after now that he's retired, now that he's not, that could be a side topic, and that's perfect because this is the month to do it because Black History Month and all that. It's perfect. It's perfect because you use that as a side topic. But as the game is going on, and they're talking about the modern day quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, you could bring in the story a little bit, but don't overwhelm us with it. And you could be like, Doug Williams did it first, so these guys got to step their game up. And if they wanna be like the next Doug Williams, they gotta play like Doug Williams to honor his name in the month of February, like that. And then you just leave it at that. And then once they retire, like, oh, he was able to do what he did in Black History Month. Kudos to him. And now the next set of quarterbacks can follow it. Like, but when they sit here and they go into like a whole entire half-hour segment of why this is right and why it took so long. Like you're just basically saying you're spitting on the past of the accomplishments of everybody else. Like you're basically spitting in the face of the NFL and you're stepping all over the history of the game, and you're basically saying that it's a tragedy more than anything.
Victimizing everything.
The first part you mentioned about celebrating Doug Williams. That's how it used to be. And then we moved on. We did not continue, going over what's going on now. And I kind of really miss that, but I do it in my head anyway. It's like, yeah, okay. And move on.
Oh, go ahead.
That, and then like when in his Hall of Fame induction and all that, or like in his Hall of Fame bust and all that, like right there, have it written down right there, like first African American. That would be a great way to bring it up. Don't bring it up and talk about it for like a half hour and all that. Like you're overwhelming it and you're making it feel like I'm in history class, man. Like I didn't go to college for a reason because I got bored and I started daydreaming during school hours and all that.
Well, here's a funny thing. So you're gonna brag about or talk about Doug Williams being the first black quarterback, this and that, right? How about just say, hey man, he was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. He threw 5 touchdowns and still holds the record for 5 touchdowns in one quarter in Super Bowl history. That's something that should be a freaking out of anything celebrated. That he did something that no quarterback any color has done. 5 touchdowns in one fucking quarter. That's amazing. So, I mean, most quarterbacks don't throw 5 in a game their entire career. He threw 5 in one quarter, and they demolished the Broncos. So, I think stuff like that should be brought up, and like Carlos said, should be limited a bit, and move on with the game. It doesn't have to be the end-all, be-all. I don't know if you guys remember, but when I think it was Bears Colts Super Bowl, they made a huge deal about Lovie Smith and Tony Dungy. It's like, okay, I get it, but when the game started, let's play the game, But they talked through the whole damn thing. Maybe it's because the game was kind of boring, but they went in on it, and it was like, come on, man, like we get it. One of them's gonna win, and they're both black, so.
Did you guys catch Tony Romo almost dropping the N-word?
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I just thought about because of commentators, because you said that the game was pretty boring, and then I started thinking about commentators, and then Tony Romo's like that goofy smile that he has on. And then they actually sat him down, like the people from CBS. They pulled him away from everything that he was doing. I don't know when it was or how it happened, but they pulled him away, and they're actually talking to him because he's regressed as an announcer.
Wow.
Commentator.
I can remember a time Tom Brady, they caught him on a hot mic, like saying "What's up?" I think to Randy Moss, and he dropped the N-word casually. Hey, what's up, ma? That was crazy.
Yeah,
but that doesn't get talked about.
It's because Randy Moss he might have been like, "You're okay to say it." As long as Randy Moss was okay to say it, I guess he's okay to say it.
I have that pass too. Yeah. Huh? I have that pass too.
You're invited to all the cookouts, huh?
Let's hear it right now, James.
No. I'm trying to keep the collard greens coming. I love collard greens. Oh yes.
It's just
here we go.
In honor of it, James, why don't you send us off? No, I think in the way that that word is bastardized, because you basically have hip hop that can say it, but then they sell to a core audience that's white for the most part. And so like they want to imitate it, and if they say it, it's like super racist. But then they're just trying to copy their freaking who they like, and then then you have the obvious racists that will just say it no matter what. But it's hard. I mean, like I remember Randy Moss and Jason Williams were tight as hell, and they used to throw the N-bomb back and forth with each other. So it is what it is. But we got way down that rabbit hole. But as far as the game, dude, like again, going back to it, if it's great, I think it's a plus for the NFL because they would like to forget some of the playoffs. This year's playoffs, let's just look. If you had to grade it for me, this year's playoffs was a C. What do you guys think, man? Because they need a good Super Bowl to offset the playoffs.
Oh man, I'm gonna look at Go ahead, Carlos. I'll answer after you.
Honestly, it was a blur. The NFL playoffs was a blur. You had the boring game with the Ravens and the Bengals that ended in that fumble return. That one was a really, really boring game, dull as hell. No Lamar Jackson. That took away from that game. And then the Bengals got screwed in the AFC Championship game. The Kansas City Chiefs got helped out. The Philadelphia Eagles had a cakewalk. It seems like the best game so far before the Super Bowl was the Cowboys and the 49ers. That was the best game that I think happened. I don't know how you guys feel about that one, but that one was like that one was the best one because the Cowboys still had a chance of winning that game, even with those interceptions by Dak Prescott and him playing pretty bad. And, then the following, then we'll follow that game, all the firings of all the coaches. So, I mean, that was the best part of the whole entire playoffs for me.
I'll tell you what, I see a lot of letdowns, especially in the NFC. I think the most interested I was into a playoff game was when Minnesota hosted the Giants, because 6 weeks before that, or 5 weeks, whenever it was, it came down to a field goal by the Minnesota Vikings. 61-yarder. Right, so I remembered watching that one intently and then saying, hey, we get a rematch, and we'll see if these Giants can do the opposite and win. So that was really disappointing on that side. Looking at the AFC, that wild card round was awesome. We talk about Miami that shouldn't have been in the Buffalo game, but they only lost by 3 with their third-string quarterback, Skylar Thompson. The Ravens had no business with Tyler Huntley starting, and it came down to that Hail Mary in Cincinnati. Cincinnati held on. And then the Chargers did what they do. They choked. They had the game. It was 27-0. And Jacksonville showed the promise of their future and won 31-30. But then what really disappointed me was the way that the Bills did not show up at home in the snow and
Mm-hmm.
allow Cincinnati to do what they wanted to do. I was really, really shocked by that and disappointed. And I, so I was really disappointed in those games. And the fact that the four games that I was really paying attention to, other from the AFC Championship game, were all wild card games. So it showed you as the playoff bracket got closer and closer to where we are now, you started to see things kind of close up. And hopefully, the Super Bowl with both number one seeds will be just the end all and be all of greatness. That's what I hope.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the shocker, and there's always one shocker in the postseason. I have to agree with Carlos and you. I thought the Dolphins in the Bills game was a pleasant surprise. That was a really, really good game. The Cowboy game was probably the best one versus the Niners. I agree right there, too. And then the disappointment for me, the shocker, was that Minnesota game. I thought they'd go farther. And once I saw that 3-yard pass, I'm like, well, there's Carlos throwing his shit on the floor right now.
No, I was confused. I was like, what? I started scratching my head. I was like, dude, you need 8 yards, but you're throwing like a little 5. Even if it was a 5-yard out, like, how do you do that? And it didn't make no sense because TJ Hawkinson, all he had to do was just run straight up. Like, even if it was 3 yards, a 3-yard route, run straight up and then run towards the sidelines or whatever. He would have had the freaking first down. He would have had the first down. But they had him go run up and then go and chip the guy that was going to play man coverage on him, right? So he automatically alerted the guy that he's coming right at you. When he hit, like, if you look at the play, the defender's like 5 yards off, and then TJ Hawkinson, instead of breaking away from him, making the defender run after him, and then having a possibility of first down, he runs towards him to close the gap. So it was just a dead play from the get go. And that was just a crazy way to finish the game. It was the worst way I've ever seen a football game ever get closed out. I was like, that's Kirk Cousins for you.
It was just one of those when that happened, I was like, really, like really. And then when I took a second to watch it, and after I thought about Carlos, I was like, damn, he's probably pissed right now. I thought of John Madden. If you ever watch Pat Summerall and John Madden back in the day call games, it would literally drive him nuts. Yes. When a team would be 3rd and 9, they throw a 6-yard pass and the guy gets tackled right away. He's like, "How come you don't run to the sticks?" It would piss him off. He didn't believe in the yards after the catch. He believed in, hey, if you need the first down, get to the first down marker, throw to the first down marker. That's all I could think about.
I think coaches now, they really overthink things. It's always a thing where, hey, if you're 3rd and inches, 4th and 2, whatever the case is, and you need it, they throw the ball 20 yards downfield. And I hate that trend. It's so stupid. You need just 1 yard, 2 yards, inches. Just run it up the middle. You'll get forward progress. It's just mind-boggling. The way maybe analytics have thrown the game off that make coaches overthink and play callers. It's just baffling sometimes.
I agree. So as we wrap it up here, let's give our final predictions again. I got the Chiefs in the 27-24 win. What do you got, Carlos?
I said 23-21. Nate said 31-29.
And what do you got, James?
I got Philadelphia 31-28. Please. I can't see Mahomes and the Chiefs winning again. Please.
It'll be the talk of the offseason, James.
Well, not only
quarterback ever.
Not only that, you'll have Jackson Mahomes making a ton of TikTok videos. How about that?
Speaking of which, he's been kind of on the quiet side, man. I bet you the NFL really got on Patrick Mahomes about that one, huh?
They sure did.
I think Patrick's like, don't come to the games. Don't embarrass me. You want your money, right? You want that allowance every month, right? Okay.
I bet
you stay up in the suite. You don't come down here doing your little thing.
I bet you what ended up happening is the Chiefs themselves, they started finding Patrick Mahomes anytime that TikTok Mahomes started making any like TikTok publicly or whatever. Mm-hmm. They started finding him like $50K for every TikTok he made. So I bet you Patrick Mahomes was like, look, dude, you're going to make like 20 of these, 20 times 50. You do the math, man. You're costing me all this money.
He's going to put a hit out on his brother, but Dude, if you look at his wife though, his wife reminds me of
Oh,
the one chick that almost got Russell Wilson when he got drafted and did that
yes.
face. Patrick Mahomes married that chick because boy is she annoying, dude. I can't
Brittany Mahomes.
I can't stand her, dude. I don't care if she's a mother right now. I can't stand her, dude. I mean, like he should bar her from the game too, dude. She's just as annoying.
Is it more annoying than Patrick Mahomes always going 180? The funniest thing.
That's
Doesn't
good.
doesn't he always say that? Isn't he? He always has the same code. He always says 180, but in that Kermit the Frog voice, 180.
Dude, he's got that walk toward the sideline where he's like a model. He's always got his hands out like this.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are we running? Running. Okay.
Yeah, I can't stand that guy. Man. So the Chiefs are hunting for their third Super Bowl. So we'll see.
Philly too.
Yeah. Someone's got to give. Well, it's been a fun season, guys, and we'll probably come back here for the recap next not this weekend, but the weekend after next. Sometime like after the Super Bowl, probably a day or two after, we'll give a quick recap or do a recap on the season and on the Super Bowl. We'll sum up our favorite times of the season and also the parts that they could have changed that would have been a lot better.
You know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to go back to the predictions to the very first episode that we had this year and see how how well we did.
Oh yeah, I'm interested to see how we picked the divisions, man. If how close we were or not.
I think
I
I
had
was
all
close.
4 teams in the AFC West making the playoffs. I know that. I was
Yeah, I
wrong.
think we were all on that one. I think I might have been spot on with the Packers coming in third place. I think I
Wow.
had the Lions coming in fourth or third. I had the Bears in second place, I think. Yeah, I had the Vikings winning it, and then I had the Packers in third place. I got to go back and watch that episode.
Let me just tell you this. I remember I had the worst division in football was the NFC East. How'd that
Yeah,
go for me?
3 teams made the playoffs. That's crazy.
Yeah, and had they not put Wentz in, Washington probably gets the fourth one.
Imagine that,
Yeah.
4 NFC East teams in the playoffs.
It should have been that way.
Yeah, that would. Yeah,
Had
that
they
would
just
be
left
bad.
that one alone. But yeah, okay. Anyone got any last things to say, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. Other than well, I appreciate anybody out there that stayed loyal to us, and we'll try harder on the last episode of the season.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you for watching Out of Bounds here. These guys are great. I've known Todd for a little bit, and Carlos I've known virtually. Hopefully we meet one day in person, but keep subscribing to Out of Bounds podcast. They're going to have more content throughout the year. SkullTube, of course, going on. Todd, we have our stuff with Halos of the Anfield. We're all over the place, and we're going to thrive for more in all of our ventures. I know that for sure.
Well, right now, since you brought it up, out of bounds right now, we're currently sitting at 95 subscribers. So we were able to do 95 subscribers before the Super Bowl. So hopefully by Super Bowl, we surpass 100 subscribers. So if we do 100 subscribers this season, I think we're in good hands.
Yeah, we're definitely going to try to get more content to the show and then have more things to talk about just, than football, but we're going to go hardcore on it next year. Probably try to draw. We're hoping the goal is to, from here on out or to the next season, is get to 200, by next year's NFL season. And we'll see. We'll have Big Game James on again for the Super Bowl. And then, maybe James will be running some basketball your guys' way.
I should get Nate on the call too. You guys will like Nate. He's super diehard about the Eagles. If the Eagles win, if the Eagles win,
boy.
I'll definitely have to invite him on.
Exactly. And then also we need to get his WNBA team on here so we could really talk some basketball. There's the big threes now back in New York. Well, maybe we'll have a show just about that.
Man,
They got 3 stallions and studs over there. So there you go. Gotta love the WNBA. All right, guys. Well, have a good one. Hello.